Hey everyone, welcome back to a terrific Tuesday. We got some good news stories tonight, so we'll talk about those. We have GameStop, we got MicroStrategy, we got Estate also getting close to having Bitcoin reserves. What else do we have here? That's about it. We'll talk about how much GameStop can actually buy if they actually use up their whole cash that they have on hand for them right now. And we'll get into Q&A, so it should be pretty easy here. All right, but you guys know the drill as always. Not financial advice, for entertainment only. Do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And let's take a look at what happened today with the markets. The markets weren't too bad today. Bitcoin was actually down a little bit on the day, but not much. Miners were definitely down today, taking a beating a little bit from yesterday, the gains that we had yesterday. But Bitcoin was down just a little bit. It was down 0.11%. It was up higher at a certain point. It was up to 88,584. We were a low of 86,321. So roughly a $2,000 swing on it today. And we closed at 87,427. So overall, not too bad. Right now we're up a little bit as well, but the miners didn't do too well. MicroStrategy was up at least a little bit here. MicroStrategy was up 1.81%. There is news that they're going to be buying more here. I'm guessing possibly as early as tomorrow even. So we may get another notice there from them. We'll talk about that as well. Bitfarms was down 3.64%. BitTF was down 5.67%. Cypher was down 5%. Cleanspark actually held up really well today. It was only down 0.68% compared to the rest of its peers. CORZ was down almost 7% here on the day. I actually gave up a lot of the gains that it had yesterday. Hive was the only one that was up. It was up 1.12%. Hive was down 2%. IREN was down 3.7%. Mara was down 2.4%. Riot was down 2.4%. Wolf was down 5.4%. And then the small miners were down as well. ETFs were down also 1, 2, 3, 4% on the day. And yeah, I mean, that's basically it. So a little bit of a correction here, or a little bit of profit taken from what we saw yesterday as far as things going up quite nicely. So that's not out of the ordinary. Kind of expected it a little bit. But overall, they handled pretty good here, I think, considering where Bitcoin was. And Bitcoin was kind of flat more or less the whole day. Okay, Bitcoin right now for the month of March is still up 3.61%. We are still 6% away, or 6.5% away from having a green month here, or green quarter actually, for the month, or the quarter of first quarter. What am I talking about here? Bitcoin ETF inflows, still waiting on IBIT, BlackRock to report. If they report a pretty good number above $15 million here, we will have 8 straight days of positive inflows into the ETFs overall in general, so that would be good there. And then the news stories that we do have here, which are going to be pretty quick. Strategy issues more SDFR shares. Those closed today, unlocking $711 million in new capital to buy more Bitcoin. That's probably going to happen here, I'm guessing maybe as early as tomorrow. So MicroStrategy could buy another, I'm calculating roughly around, what is that going to be? 790,000 or something, or not 7,900 roughly, right around there, the Bitcoins. And then, so that's good news, right? They're continuing to stack as always. I mean, these guys, well, MicroStrategy and Sailor are relentless. They're just going to be buying as much as they can. As soon as they get the money, they're just deploying it back into Bitcoin. Love seeing that. I think everybody loves seeing that because it takes a lot of the Bitcoin out of the exchanges, puts it in basically a cold wall at some place, and it's there forever basically with them. Michael Saylor also tweeted here about GameStop, which we're going to talk about here in a second here. But GameStop is adding Bitcoin to their treasury. They're adopting the winning strategy. And the golden bull run is happening here. So this is all good news, right? As more corporations get on board with Bitcoin, putting it on their treasury, it's going to take Bitcoins off the exchange. It's going to take Bitcoins off wherever they are. And it's just going to lock it in there, making it much more scarce to trade, which then should also yield for the price to go up, which is what we really want. Okay, so this is great news. And then Matthew Siegel here also tweeted about it, that 11 billion GameStop, their valuation, with 4.6 billion of cash on balance sheet to add Bitcoin as treasury. So how much Bitcoin can they actually get for that? Well, if we use some numbers here, depending on how much they put into, whether it's 5, 10, 15%, whatever that is, did a little chart here, or a table, where they got about 4.6 billion that they can use up for it. Bitcoin price is about 88,000 right now, so we're going with that number. If they use 5%, that's about 230 million. That's 2,614 Bitcoins. And that would put them in line with some of the smaller miners like Hive, Bitfarms, who else is in that boat possibly as well. There's a couple of those guys. Cypher pretty close to that as well. I think Cypher's like around 1,000 something. So we'll put them in line with that. And then if they use 10%, you're looking at about 460 million, about 5,227 Bitcoin. That puts them above those guys, and then kind of in between Cleanspark, Hut 8, and the smaller guys. They do 15%, same thing, that would be about 7,841, right? Somewhere in between there. And then if they use up 20%, which would be about $920 million, that would get them to about 10,000. That would put them now in line with Cleanspark, Hut 8, right, in that territory. Then when you go up from there, you go to Riot, and then after that, you go to Marathon, basically. But if they use 25% of that, that gets them to 13,000. Now they would be above Hut 8 and even Cleanspark, I think, at this point. Then 50% would get them to 26,136. It'd be roughly half of what, a little bit more than half of what Mara has, right? Mara's got 40-some thousand there, so that would get them there. If they use 75% of their assets, their treasury, that would get them 39,000 Bitcoin. That would still be a little bit below what Mara is, and then 100% would actually get them above what Mara has right now. So that would put them in second place, I believe, after MicroStrategy there, as far as corporations are concerned. I don't think anybody else would have that much on it. So kind of interesting to see how that could play out. And like I said, if Sailor uses up to 711 million, whatever it is, I'm guessing somewhere around 7,900 Bitcoin for him as well, added to the, gosh, what does he got now? Like 500,000 Bitcoin, something like that. So that would just add a little bit more to it as well. This is great. Love seeing this, as always. We need this kind of adoption happening because that's what's really going to drive the price up much higher than where we think it's going to go, right? Corporations buying it, states buying it eventually, countries buying it eventually, nation states, everybody and their cousin buying it. So, I mean, there's only so many Bitcoins out there, 21 million. Not all millionaires in the world will be able to have one Bitcoin if they wanted to. So we may see a little scramble happening here later on this year for if, you know, we start seeing all this stuff happening here. So I'm really bullish on it. I love seeing this. I hope you guys love seeing this as well, because this all means great things for us. And in relation to the miners, it means great things for the miners. Bitcoin going up 250,000, 200,000, 250, whatever it might be. That's going to, at least my thoughts would be that it would bode very, very well for the miners here. As long as the network hash rate stays kind of in line. I'm still thinking the network hash rate for this year might end up maybe 100 exahash higher from where it is right now. I'm guessing maybe 150, somewhere around there. I'm not expecting huge gains on it. It's at 800 exahash right now, roughly. So that would be, I don't know, what would that be? Like a 17% increase, 15% increase, something like that, which would be pretty low compared to what we've seen here in the past with Bitcoin hash rate growth. So that would bode well for the miners in general. All right, so there's that on GameStop. One final news story that we do have here is going to be on Oklahoma State. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve bill passes through the House. The bill allows the state to invest 10% of its public funds into Bitcoin. Right? Will they invest 10%? Probably not. They may start out with 0.5% to maybe 1% or something like that, and go from there potentially. But they have the optionality to do it. Right? So you're just seeing more and more states getting into it as well. It's going to be, you know, a free-for-all basically for all these states to grab as much as they can when they do start grabbing it. So again, adoption, beautiful, beautiful thing. Right? As Trump likes to say, the most beautiful world, the word for him is tariffs. For me, it's actually adoption. With Bitcoin, it's adoption. It's a beautiful world. Beautiful world. Word. Wow. Can't speak. My mind is going faster than my lips can produce the sounds here. All right. What else we got? That's it. Let's get into Q&A, see what you guys have to say, anything like that. There was no news on the miners. We are still waiting on Bitfarms to report their Q4 results, fiscal year end results. That'll be happening on the 27th, I believe. So we're a couple of days away from that. We got basically 2 more days to go. So we got tomorrow, and then they'll report on Thursday. So we'll cover that, but nothing else is happening here. So get your questions ready. We're going to go to questions. You can ask me anything you want in there. And where's my Q&A here? Here it is. So as always, if you guys could preface the questions with a question mark or a Q, I'd appreciate it. I'm going to scroll up. We don't have too many questions right now. Just so today might be even a shorter day than we had yesterday. Yesterday we were going for like 25 minutes or something like that. Today we might be at 15 minutes. We'll see. Okay. So Alexander has a question here. Have you lowered your price targets for miners yet? BTC 175,000, what do you think Cleanspark and IREN can get to? If we only get to 175,000, then yeah, I mean, that's going to be lowered from where I thought they would go. But you never know, right? When they start running, they could run relatively quickly and pretty fiercely, I think, as well. But I'm saying if we only do 175,000, that's roughly, what is that? More like 120% from where we are right now, 130%, something like that. So I would expect the miners to do at least, at the very bare minimum, at least a 2x to like a 3x from here. That's kind of where I would think. So yeah, that's definitely puts them lower than where I thought they're going to be. Like Cleanspark, I thought maybe $60, $70, but you never know, right? The Bitcoin only goes to 175,000, then yeah, I'm guessing 2 to 3x from where they are right now. That would put them at about what, $24, something like that, at the top end, maybe. But they can do better than that, depending on the sentiment in the markets, the appetite from investors as well, right? What kind of things they report as far as growth, things like that. John Kurtz has a question here. What's your thoughts on Cypher? Bought at 393. I need to add to cut my buy-in. Would you buy now or wait or invest in another miner? I'm also down big on IREN. Okay, IREN, I'm down like 5% right now. I got in, my average is around $8. So I'm down on that one also. Cypher, I think, has bottomed out here along with the other miners here, but let's take a look at it here really quick. Cypher's at 304, right? So, I mean, you're not too far off from where you bought it. You bought it at 393. Okay, so you're off roughly, what, 25%? You're down on it. So that's not too bad, I would say. I mean, I think it has bottomed out just by what I'm seeing here, right? RSI on the daily is flat, more or less, and it's been flat here, but it's been going back up here. So I think we might have been bottomed out. I mean, yeah, it's been 4 weeks of pain here, almost 5 weeks of pain that we've seen here in Cypher alone. IREN, same thing, right? IREN, yeah, 4 or 5 weeks of pain as well. I think that one has also bottomed out. I think a lot of these guys have actually bottomed out. We're seeing the same kind of thing happening where we go almost 2 weeks sideways, and then we're bouncing back up here a little bit. But you never know, right? Next week we have the tariffs thing with Trump on April 2nd. Depending how things look there, I think things are just kind of looking to be a little bit more smoothed out. So maybe it won't be as bad as we think it is, and maybe it actually might be good. If that's the case, then we continue going forward and going upwards. At least that's my thought process on it. We are getting closer also to the possible May rate cuts. So that's also going to bode well. So I think these things haven't bottomed out, but you just never know, right? So I would say if you're going to buy, dollar cost average in, and then always have a little cash on the side if possible, if there's a dip that happens. That's the reason why. But yeah, that's kind of the way I see those guys here right now. All right, let's go back to Q&A. Talked about that one. Okay, let's see here. Why is Cypher down so much in recent months, more so than other BTC miners? It seems like it is undervalued. It is undervalued in my opinion here. We can take a look at Cypher on my data that I have for it here. Based on what I have them at, they should be between like $5 and $7 looking forward, right, to the revenues they're going to be generating here. They're not the only ones. I mean, Cypher hasn't gone down the most from other miners in the last couple of weeks. Let's take a look at it here. Where is it at? Stock performance, here it is. So this was as of yesterday, I think I did this. So Cypher from, let's take a look at it from, let's see here, the beginning of the year. From the beginning of the year, it's down 37%, right? So kind of in the middle range of where things are down for some of these guys. BitDeer is definitely down a lot more, but we've seen a lot of these guys that were in HPCI, that were, potential there, hype, whatever you want to call it. Those guys are getting a little bit more beaten down here recently in the last, I would say, 3 months. Right? You got Cypher, Core, Hut 8, BitDeer as well. I mean, even IREN, right? IREN has some HPCI business, but not much. But they also have ambitions to get to HPCI with a big player as well. So that one's down quite a bit. And some of the more pure play, and then I shouldn't really say Riot's a pure play anymore. Even Marathon, I think they're both talking about doing something with HPCI. But those guys, before all the hype on the HPC, were more pure plays, right? And these guys are doing a little bit better here, including Cleanspark. So I think it's just the market itself. There's a correction happening with the HPC, I think, as well. There's a lot of things happening. We got the, what is it? Oh gosh, what is it called? Search search, or whatever the heck it was from China. Can't remember the term on it. But that definitely didn't help the miners. And then things were coming down anyways with Bitcoin and the markets and everything else with the tariffs, freaking everybody out. So that's why I think it's down, because of those reasons. But I think it's also a pretty good time to maybe get into it some more. All right. All right, talked about that one. All right, let's see. Tom Petty has a question here. What if an entity the size of the Department of Defense began mining? How do you think that would affect the current miners? Boy, I think you would be better off. Well, I don't see that happening. But if they did do that, just say hypothetically, just say that they did do that, how would that affect the miners? I think that would maybe scare some people, because then they're looking at other nation states, countries, possibly doing it as well for themselves, right? Where they have a heck of a lot more money, taxes coming in from the people, and they can plow a bunch of billions into it if they wanted to. But also the problem here is megawatts are a scarcity right now, especially in the United States. So I don't see them being able to do that. For that reason, I basically discount that, or don't even think about it, because I don't think they're going to do it. It just doesn't make any sense for them to do that when they can possibly just buy Bitcoin right now. It'd probably be cheaper in the long run. All right, let's see. Hi, Seb. Question, what's the growth of BitDeer for this year? This year, they're going to be adding a lot more hash rate in the second half of the year. They were talking about getting to, oh gosh, what was it? Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think it was above 20 some exahash by the end of the year with the newer machines that they're getting built for them. So I think there's definitely more potential for them going into the second half of the year. All right, let's see. Would you consider investing in GME now with this news? I would maybe take a small position in them, very, very small. Looking at them, they might be like the next MicroStrategy potentially, but it all depends on how much Bitcoin they actually buy, right? Do they do a one-time buy, or do they continue to buy in over time? Those things would determine how I would actually go into that one. But I'm out of cash right now. I got to pay taxes in a couple of weeks here, so I am spent. Alexander has a question. What are your thoughts on the very irregular cycle this time around, as others have been saying, maybe prolonged and slower than usual with no big correction? Well, that's kind of what I've been saying also. It is different this time around altogether. We can look at the chart. I mean, the chart speaks for itself as it is. Let's take a look at Bitcoin here really quick. On the weekly, I think will be probably the best to do that. There's Bitcoin here. Let's do the weekly here, and you can kind of see how it has played out. Here's the current cycle where we had the halving right in April, prior cycle halving at the May. I mean, you can see here, it is definitely a lot more volatile. We've reached a new all-time high before the halving event. That's never happened before, so right, that's already different altogether. But you can see just the difference in the chart after the halving event here, where we did go parabolic here relatively quickly, had 2 weeks of correction, continued to run up here, correction on 1 week, continued to run up there. And then we had the flood from China, so that kind of screwed things up for us a little bit. I think we would have gone up even higher if that wasn't for that. But this time around, you can see where it's prolonged kind of downward trend. From the top to the bottom, we were down 34, 35%, something like that. And then it took a little bit longer to kind of grind through it. And then finally we popped again. And then we're seeing this kind of same thing, right? Where we're going sideways for a while and then going back down. And then finally now we're starting to get maybe 3 weeks in a row of green. But before it was definitely different. It was much more explosive. Even if we look back to the 2017 cycle here, comparing the two between 2017 and 2021. So we can scroll that together here. Bitcoin, here it is. Bitcoin was just a little bit more flat as well at that time, at least looking at it this way. Maybe not so when you zoom in on it. But it wasn't as volatile. Obviously, the price was much lower. The price swings we're seeing right now are much higher. But it did start to run up around, let's zoom in on this a little bit here so we can see how that actually played out. Yeah, so you can kind of see here, it was more or less flat throughout 2016 here after the halving event. And then finally, once we got past through January, April is when we started to run here. And then again, we had an explosive run here compared to what we're seeing right now. So that's why I'm thinking also this might be a prolonged cycle. A couple of reasons for that is because of all the adoption that we're seeing, not only from the ETFs, MicroStrategy, now GameStop buying it. We have other companies buying it as well. Similar, there's other ones, I can't remember the names right now, but they're buying Bitcoin as well, putting it on their treasury. So it's just the more and more that we get this kind of adoption happening here, the more likelihood I think there is of a prolonged cycle where Bitcoin will just go up slower to the upside. And we won't see this huge, 10x moves in a cycle, but we'll see continuation of 50%, 75%, whatever it might be, 100% a year growth potentially with Bitcoin, and then have those kind of corrections where we go down 30, 35%, correct, and continue going up forward. So there is something to it, but will it play out that way? We don't know, right? We're looking forward to basically a year out from here, and it's hard to tell. But it will be more noticeable, I think, by the end of this year, as far as which way we're going, and then going into next year. So that'll be definitely interesting to watch. Okay. Talked about that one. See, did I miss something? Talked about that one. Talked about that one. Okay. Growth a bit dear. I did miss something. Okay, I missed two questions here. Sorry, guys. Okay, so you'll had a question as well. Hi, Seb. I sense a change in your conviction from you are not bullish enough to, at this point, would take a 2x on the miners. I'm still bullish. Excuse me. It depends where Bitcoin goes, right? If we're talking about Bitcoin getting to only 180,000, yeah, we probably might not do, a 5x or something like that. So, but if we go to like 250,000, okay, at that point, I'm still thinking we could do like 5x on some of these guys. It just depends on where Bitcoin goes. I'm still extremely bullish. Now, don't get me wrong. I'd love it to get, have these miners go 5x from where they are right now. If we get 3x, I'd still be extremely happy, right? That's not too bad. That's actually really good. Where else can you get that in the markets? So unless you get really lucky on something or some crap coin. All right. Question, would you consider investing in GME now? Okay, I think I talked about that one. Yeah, I said, if anything, I'd maybe get a little bit in there. Excuse me. Jackie says, yeah, DeepSeek. Thank you. That was the Chinese HPCI or AI that they came out with. All right. Are you planning to get in on the IPO of CoreWeave? No, I am not. Or are you planning to buy after the hype or planning to buy anything at all? Currently, I'm not planning to buy anything. Like I said, I got to put money aside for taxes. I got a lot more than I thought I was going to have to pay. So I'm doing that right now, but I wouldn't get into CoreWeave on the day of the IPO. I think a lot of times it is exit liquidity for the people that have been holding the stock there or the company shares there. And there are at times when companies do pretty good on the opening day for IPOs, but historically IPOs don't do that well. So I would wait until all the selling is done, if anything, on that one. All right, let's see what else we got here. Okay, more towards a question here. If BTC doubles and miners only double, what was the point of being in miners at all? Well, there would have been no point, right? And the reason is the cycle definitely didn't play out the way we thought it was going to play out, or at least the way I thought it was going to play out. We were basing it off of last cycle, which the miners definitely crushed Bitcoin and everything else during that time frame. But yeah, definitely wouldn't be playing out the way we thought it was going to play out. But still getting a double over 2 years, 3 years being invested in these guys, that's still actually pretty good. 200% gains. S&P 500, you won't get that, right? Dow Jones, you won't get that in 2 years. So it's still really, really good. Roger has a question here. And what if they keep shorting the miners and we don't move when BTC hits 200,000? Well, that's another good question there, right? But at a certain point, I would think with the amount of revenue that these guys are going to be generating, I think shorting is just a stupid move. That's just me. I would think they would get out of it because of the amount of revenue they're going to be generating. But you never know with these big guys. All right, John has a question here. What's your top 3 miners? For me, it's right now, I would say Cleanspark, IREN as well, and then you could possibly throw in there Marathon. Has been doing much better lately as well. After that, I would probably go to Bitfarms, Riot possibly as well. After that, some of the other ones, I think. Cypher, things like that, I would get into it. I'm not including Core in here because Core is more into HPCI right now. But even them, I think they're still really good. But when we're talking about miners, those are the ones I would go into. All right, got another question popping up here. Let's see, there's always a little delay between what I see on screen and what's on my other laptop. There it is. Okay. Question, will miner fees go up or play a big role for the remainder of the cycle? It kind of died after the runes fiasco died off. Well, I don't know, it's tough. It depends on how much activity there is on the network and how much people are trying to push things through. So I think as Bitcoin starts going up, I think you're going to see much more trading activity going on. So I think at that point, you should start seeing a little bit more fees, right? But eventually, over time, I think it's going to take a while. I think it's still going to take maybe a decade or two to fees to account for a majority of what the miners actually get revenue from. It's not going to happen in the next. I don't think it's going to happen in the second. I don't think it's going to even happen in the next cycle. But I think it's going to happen like a decade or two or something like that. All right, because eventually, as the halvings happen, we're going to have less and less Bitcoin. So maybe then I would say maybe in 2 halvings or something like that, we might see where the fees actually are more than the block rewards. Talking about that, okay. Mo L here. Hey, Sebastian, just wanted to thank you for this channel and your work in supporting the community. Much appreciated. Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you so much for coming in, as always. You'll Gambler here, question. It looks like Cleanspark is owned 60% long by institutions. Can these institutions short squeeze Cleanspark when they decide it's time? Possibly. But also, out of that 60% of the institutions that own it, how many are actually shorting it too, right? Kind of covering their butts a little bit both ways. So, wow, gotta take out my throat. Yeah, so, yeah, I would think that would maybe have a little bit short squeeze there. But we just need things to get really, really frothy and people buying into these things. I think if that happens, then that might scare the shorts there. All right. Question 7. The analysts forecast Hive going up 4x. What are your thoughts? From here, where's Hive right now? Hive $1.81, so roughly $8. Where do I have them at? Let's take a look at that really quick. Hive. Jeez. Got a bad tickle in my throat. So Hive for right now, at least revenue, 655 to 988. I could see that, right? Things were properly valued and they continue to execute well. In Paraguay, get the sites up and running quickly enough, get the miners installed, add more miners. I could see that. Bitcoin, going up much higher. Then yeah, I could see that. That's not too bad. Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad for them. All right. Question here. What do you think the sentiment is right now for the miner support group? Is it very low or are we recovering in positivity? It is very, very low. I think it's bottomed out, basically, at least from what I'm seeing here in the comments, not only here on the stream, but also in actual YouTube video comments, and as well as just overall viewership is down. Subscribers are down as well. I'm actually losing subscribers and I'm gaining. So I can definitely see that there's a lot of pain out there and people have basically given up on a lot of these miners in these stocks, right? So, and that's kind of what I would expect, especially to happen when Bitcoin's been down, miners have been beaten down to crap. So I totally understand that, but we can definitely see that. All right. Question, why did Bitfarms give up on Paraguay? Well, Paraguay was, I think, the brainchild of the previous, oh gosh, not the stockholders, but the, what is that? The guys in the background. Oh, what is that term? Man, brain fog. You guys know what I mean. The governing body there, you got 5 or 6 people there that control basically Bitfarms in the company there, or at least point in that direction. I think their direction was to go into the Latin American portion of things, go in there, and I think that's why they went into it. With Ben at the helm, he's trying to steer the ship back in possibly the right direction, moving more into the United States, right, to find favorable locations there, electricity. And also because of that, I think you also have more institutions maybe interested in them. So if they can get also headquartered in the United States, I think that would be good for them, right? So that's why I think they did that. That's why they gave up on it. Just kind of change things around. They wanted to go more into the United States. Andrea, you're very welcome as always. Thank you for coming in. And then Cody has a question. Can you make a video going over the FSB losers that miners will have on their Q1 earnings due to Bitcoin being lower? Well, Bitcoin, I mean, we're only 6.5% away from where we were at the end of Q4. So we're not too far away. We still have a couple more days. We actually might end up in the green, which the miners would actually then, they wouldn't benefit much, but they would actually at least not have a loss recorded on it. So yeah, we'll do that once we get past this quarter, which is in the next 6 days. All right, let's see. Is the Riot executive team the highest paid out of the BTC miners? I think we should fire Jason Less and cut compensation for Riot, CFO, CEO, and rest of management. I don't know if they're the highest. I think they're among the highest there, along with Mara, Riot. Who else takes quite a bit there out of those guys? I have to look at the numbers exactly. But yeah, there's quite a few that are getting paid. I mean, even Cleanspark's team is getting paid quite nicely, handsomely as well. IREN's team as well. I mean, all these guys are getting paid excessively well, right? Should he get fired for that? I mean, we'll see how he does with transitioning to HPCI, right? They got two investors that are, kind of guiding them into HPCI. We'll see if that works out for them or not. So yeah, we'll see. And I think I've caught up to all you guys' questions here. All right, we'll call it a day. We're half an hour in, so that's not too bad. I like that. Yeah, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. Bitcoin's still up a little bit here on the new day, and we'll see where things take us. Tomorrow's going to be some more news. We might get some more news from other miners as well, and we'll just take it as it goes. Mr. Robinson, you're very welcome. C says miners are dead money. We're not past the cycle yet. Give it a little time. If we were at the end of the cycle, I would be agreeing with you. I'm like, yeah, this was all for naught. Spending all this time investing in the miners, not only that, but also investigating the miners, doing all the research on them, was probably for naught. I would have came out right now if I sold all the shares that I have of Cleanspark, Marathon, IREN, and Bitfarms. I would be up like 25, 26% right now. I would be actually at a loss on IREN and Bitfarms. So yeah, it would not be great. All right, so that's it for you guys. That's all I got. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out. That's it. Have a wonderful evening. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you all. Until then,